Hey Recharge family, Coach Ben back with another quick little video to help those hips and lower body stay healthy. So as we talk about with a lot of our mechanics and mobility work, especially if we are talking about hip rotation and its importance in hip flexion, hip extension, two primary movements for any sort of ambulation or specifically with our running community, super important that we sort of restore and recover a lot of that rotational range of motion, because it's going to impact our ability to get into flexion and extension such that our lower back, our knee, our ankle doesn't have to help absorb and compensate for any lack of movement or lack of strength that the hip is able to express. So we're going to start with some 90-90 work. I just did this side, so we'll do this side. So we're going to start with this 90-90 position. If you've got a couple of yoga blocks or something that you can have to elevate your hands a little bit, it just helps to keep the upper body in a better position to feel the stretch a little bit more in the hip. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with this front knee right in front of the front hip. So if you find that bony part of your hip, straight ahead is where the knee should be, roughly 90 degrees. And then we're going to take this block, or if it's just the hand, place it on the floor at about the same level of the knee. Then I'm going to take my other block, or my other hand, I'm going to reach around, but as I do that, I'm going to first get up tall, and then I'm going to rotate, and I'm going to lead with my head. So I'm going to lead by turning my head over my shoulder, and then I'm going to reach back, and if I need to lean a little bit away to find that back hand, that's okay. This knee here, we want to make sure that it's straight out from the hip. So I need to actually move mine back a little bit here. So from a pure profile side, you can see it's directly out from where my pelvis is, and I'm square to the front. So this is a 90-degree angle from here to here, okay? So now that I'm back in this stretch, I'm up nice and tall. I've rotated by turning my head as far as I can. I shouldn't have any sort of pinching pain with this. If I do, I'm just gonna come back out of it a little bit, and that's my stretch position. We don't stretch through pain. We can push discomfort just a little bit, but we shouldn't be getting into anything that makes us start to quicken our breath at all, or makes us hold our breath or anything like that. We want to use the breathing as a barometer that we're okay in this position. That's going to tell our nervous system that this stretch sensation that we're feeling as almost a warning that our body is telling us, hey, we're getting close to end range. Be careful how much further you go. That's what we're trying to work with as far as reconditioning that reaction that our brain has by controlling our breathing consciously. So I'm going to take about 3 or 4 deep inhales here to finish, nice and tall. On the exhale, I see if I can turn just a little bit. Then go again. On the exhale, see if I can turn just a little bit. And then last time, big breath in, and exhale. And if I have anything left to turn, then I'm just going to hang out right here for about 10 seconds. Some easy, slow breaths here, not anything big or uncomfortable, just trying to hold this position and relax into it. That inner calm through the body as we stretch into this position. Okay, let's bring this trail hand back, and if you have either tennis ball, lacrosse ball, tennis ball is much better. I would actually recommend probably a yoga block over a lacrosse ball, because we're going to be pressing our knee down into it, and so we want something that has just a little bit of give. Okay, so from here, I'm going to place the block or the ball underneath my knee, and the reason for that is I'm going to use this point as a fulcrum to try to drive my knee down and lift my foot up, or at least feel the pressure on the inside of my foot against the floor lighten. Okay, so I'm thinking about this hip doing the work. I'm trying to spin this femur this way, which is going to be pushing the knee into the floor, and that's what's going to hopefully get a little bit of elevation from the foot. Now for me, I'm still really tight in this part of internal rotation here. So I actually have to lean myself a little bit forward as well as slightly to the outside. That's gonna give this hip a little bit more room to work, and I should be able to get maybe just a smidge off the floor as I push my knee down. So I'm gonna take a deep breath in. I'm gonna squeeze tension into my low abs. So brace nice and strong here. I'm gonna grab my foot with my opposite hand, and now I'm gonna start to press my knee into the block, 30% effort. Keep breathing nice and steady. Go to 40%, I get a little bit of lift off there. 50%, a little bit higher, 60, 70, and I hold at about 75 to 80%. I'm holding onto this leg strongly. I'm pushing hard on my outside arm to keep my elbow locked out. I'm gonna hold this for 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now I'm gonna slowly push my foot into the floor. I'm gonna feel that knee try to come up off the block, but I'm gonna keep it from going any further. I should just have light contact. Still holding onto this front foot strong, still squeezing this elbow straight, pushing into the block on the outside arm. And now I'm pushing the inside of my ankle down into the floor. 40% effort, 50%, 60%. I'm gonna end at about 75 to 80%, holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, still pushing that foot, trying to drive it through the floor. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Okay, if we were just doing this in a class or you're just doing this on your own, I would say go back into that stretch, turn through the head, through the shoulders, through the neck, leading with that rotation, and just hang out here for about 30 seconds, and then bring your block or your ball back, go underneath the knee, and do that whole thing one more time. And then we'll go into our next piece, which is going to be some sideline hovers. So I'm gonna use, again, either my block or my ball. For me, I'm gonna use this block here. I'm gonna place it right on the outside of my knee, and this could be anything. It could be a stack of books, could be, I don't know, dog toy, whatever, it doesn't really matter. From here, I'm going to keep my same propped arm on the outside, and then I'm gonna try to lift my knee and ankle together, and I'm gonna slowly pull that knee up towards me, trying to clear my foot over the block, and then go back. So I'm trying to hover with rotation, using all that new space that I just created with that stretch. My upper body is staying totally still, no movement whatsoever. And I'm trying to rotate through the hip. So you'll watch my knee come up with the ankle, and then I pull the knee straight towards me, straight towards the ceiling. As I push the foot forward, my knee doesn't come forward this way though. So I try to keep my knee here and push my foot forward as much as I can, and then take it back and come down. So we're gonna do 5 reps on that side, and then we're gonna go into a hover challenge in figure 4. So I'm gonna pull my foot in, I'm gonna take my block, I'm gonna put it on the inside of my ankle here, and then I'm gonna turn, or excuse me, on the outside of my ankle, and then I'm gonna turn so that I'm facing whatever leg is straight in front of me. From here, I'm gonna put my hands out to the side, I'm gonna push my fingers or my palms straight into the floor, and I'm gonna try to keep my shoulders right over my hips. From here, I'm gonna lock out my leg, keep my knee totally straight, trying to press my knee towards the floor, and then using those arms to stabilize, I'm gonna lift, come over, set down, and come back. I'm thinking the whole time about going nice and slow and controlled. I go all the way up, pause, change direction, and then go down. Come back up and over. That's 4. Total 5, keeping that leg locked out the whole time. And then come down and relax. Now I'm going to go right back to my hover challenge right here. and I'm gonna do the same set of 5 with these hovers, and then go back to the figure 4 hover on this leg here. So we can do the same thing on the other side, starting with a 90-90 position, going to the opposite leg, setting that up, going into our stretch, and then running through the same set of end range contractions using the block underneath the knee for something to push into. These are called PAILs and rails. And then going into the same set of rotational hovers in 90-90, as well as the figure 4 work that we would just do on this side here as well, okay? So this is a great way to get some specific work into the hip flexor as well as the rotators of the hip, which are 2 kind of aspects of the musculature, especially when we're sitting or just doing our walking and running in this sagittal or forward and backwards plane, that we don't get a lot of additional range of motion work in. So it's really important to supplement it with something that hits that stuff. All right, if you have any questions, drop them in the comment box below and we'll get back to you. Have fun with this.